Hello, and thanks for being here. I really appreciate you joining me in these meditations. Today, I want to continue in a subject of my own meditation and how I have learned to examine my meditation in different ways and the improvements I think I've made in my meditation and my understandings of what it is that's going on. So, to recap, my early meditation was pretty unfocused. I really didn't do much in terms of developing a technique. It took a long time, really decades of sort of fiddling around with meditation before I began to seriously make inroads into developing a practice. And my major breakthrough occurred, some years ago now, where I was examining my meditation. In the context of my meditation, I was sort of seeing myself meditating and began to really wonder the efficacy of that. How is that going to work? I sort of caught myself mid-meditation, sort of developing an understanding of my own practice. And that is that I was seeing myself meditate. So in my meditation, there was an image of myself in front of me meditating. And that was how I meditated for quite a long time. And one day, some years ago, I began to wonder, well, I'm just seeing myself meditate. Is that really what I want to do? And so I realized that what I wanted to do was for me to be myself meditating. And so I took that image. I just sort of energetically took the image and I drew it inside of myself. It became part of me, so I was myself meditating. And in that moment, an extraordinary thing happened. I got tremendous physical sensations, goosebumps. I really kind of almost started vibrating a little bit. It was very dramatic. I mean, it was quite remarkable. And that typically tends to happen to me pretty much every time that I meditate, because there's a physicality to it that I was very surprised at, that I found welcoming, but also very intimidating, because there was something going on there that was almost more than me, that was engaging with me in a way that I was really unprepared for. And that has continued. And as I've grown in my meditative practice, and as I've started to think about the nature of my ability to observe the world around me, to be part of the world around me, I began to realize that some distinctions were being created in what was happening to me. And they were very important. So what I'm saying is that my meditation was not a meditation on ordinary reality or my perspective on ordinary reality. It was not about the things of this world, as it were. That was not where I was coming to any kind of traction. It was not this world that was the object, the essence of what was happening to me. And so I thought about this a lot. And what I want to pass on to you is that my meditation, as I understand it, has been a meditation which is an orientation, a meditation of my subconscious. That's what's really happening. There's a deeper part of me which is being reached by my meditation, by the technique that I've developed. And it feels really powerful and really good, because it seems as though the ordinary world that we live in is not the world where we're going to connect to the cosmos. I mean, it is iconically part of the cosmos, the things that we have around us. But in terms of the substantial aspects of the cosmos, it's really our subconscious that is the connecting force. And so I'm saying that it is that connection with our subconscious to the cosmos that is the place from which our manifestation in this material world, the ordinary reality, is born. It is our intention crafted in the subconscious mind, connecting to the cosmic reality, the divine hierarchy, that is where we're going. And I think it's a future statement. As I look around, delving into the material world, the one we're sort of muddling through here, doesn't seem to be as important or as far-reaching as the worlds of time and space. And the ability to move through time and space is going to occur in a different part of who we are. So we can use a lot of different words to understand it. An easy one that most are familiar with in this world are, subconscious mind. But there is an aspect of a being here that's waiting to be understood. That's a being that is connected through a variety of what I can only consider to be psychic forces or connecting realities of the divine hierarchy, a geography of the divine hierarchy, a landscape of the divine hierarchy that we are in and we can participate in. And it's something which I think is a beautiful thing to explore. My exploration of it has taken me to some really interesting places and has opened up some avenues for me that I find quite remarkable. So a good example of this is just recently, the other day, I was listening to a podcast, and it was an interesting guy. I really like him, ex-Special Forces guy. I'm an ex-Army guy. So there's a little bit of kindred spirit there. I mean, I was never Special Forces. I'm regular infantry. But there was something about his presentation I really liked, and he was working with people who had been part of Pentagon programs trying to develop remote viewing as intelligence operatives. And they were working on some other stuff, but this podcaster had the guest set up a situation where the podcaster could begin to evaluate his own ability to be a remote viewer. I thought, oh, this is fascinating. Let's see what's going on. And of course, it was set up with computer-generated images that are random generated. And it was, quite an interesting setup and one that's been used for a long time. So I thought, wow, this is interesting. I'm going to tune into this and see what's going on and lend myself to this task. It was fascinating. So the setup began, and, and the researcher, I guess you could call him, commenced the experiment. And he said, okay, now I want you to begin to write down or come up with what it is that you're hearing, seeing. What do you see? What do you hear? And so what I had happened to me was something extraordinary. My whole gaze or my presence really shifted as I turned my gaze to this little experiment. There was a physical change in me. I could really feel it. I was like, oh, wow, what's this going on here? I feel really different engaging in this experiment. And I used what I call my gaze to engage this. And it was like, whoa, this is a very different energy. And this was my subconscious mind, my inner being, as it were, beginning to resonate with this little experiment. And so the image that I came up with was kind of a small hilltop or a mountain, kind of gently rounded and, out in the wilderness kind of thing. And so the image was revealed, and it was an image of the U.S. Capitol, of course, which is a sort of little mountain in and of itself. And I was like, whoa, that's interesting. And so I was captivated not necessarily by my ability to kind of get an image that I could kind of pretend maybe worked. But what I'm really wanting to pass on to you is the physical sensation of learning how to use gaze, the gaze of our subconscious mind, the gaze of our inner being as we begin to shift our energies and our, how shall I say, our attentions into different places in different ways than we're necessarily used to. And so that's what I want to pass on to you, is a way to begin to think about your own meditation as expressions of yourself engaging in your own inner being. And that inner being is what's connected to the cosmos. And that's where our learning takes place. It's there, that place right there. And so I kind of humorously call it the cosmic homeschool. This is something quite remarkable. You're not going to get this information from the academy. This comes from you. You're birthing in the cosmos as part of a cosmic expansion that's extremely vital. I mean, there is nothing more powerful than being part of the life force of the cosmos as it expands, and being part of that, and being a participant of it, and more importantly, being expected to be part of it. That you and I have a role, that we are not passive, we are not bystanders in this. This is an active imagination in its finest terms. So I'm encouraging you to re-engage your meditation if you haven't thought of this or are willing to consider what I'm saying. I'd love to hear from you and hear how you're progressing or what your thoughts are on this, because for me it's a vital, important question of the nature of who I am in the context of the practice that I utilize as being a being in the divine hierarchy. So thank you for your attentions. I really appreciate it. Give me a call. Amen.